All right. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is another edition of the Gno.land Developer Call. This week is the core edition, and today is the 12th of June. We can go ahead and get started with the agenda. So, short and sweet TLDR. It has a couple of points. First, we finished the migration to Go Releaser, and this is something that's been done by Antonio. I don't know if Antonio is on the call, but maybe somebody else can jump in and fill us in on this. Maybe Milos.
Yeah, so basically what we did is I'm not sure if we mentioned this on a previous call, but we essentially overhauled our entire release structure for, the tools that we have within the monorepo, but also the GNO binary. So the Gno.land binaries. We have essentially three main release flows, which is nightly, master, and dev. Dev being the one that we trigger manually. So when we want to do an official dev release, we're going to trigger it. This is going to be used for our chest 4 releases. We have a nightly release that happens every day automatically, and this is just it scrapes whatever is on master and just plugs it into our release. And then we have a master release, which is every single master push that we do. It just includes it in the release, and builds out the Docker images so you can use them. And we actively use like all these images throughout our tools and stuff like that. Like the portal loop, for example, works based on this.
My bad. Okay. Awesome. We've been in the final phases for wrapping up the test for milestone. And essentially the points are, the hot topic is the GovDAO implementation and the on-chain validator set implementation with RSys vals and the on-chain validator set injection. We can talk about this a little bit later. I have another point on this, but the second thing that we want to talk about is the message call. So the message call can now only be used on r/, and this issue is basically referencing a point by Manfred and some of the stuff that we discussed during the Belgrade retreat that we want to purify p/ even more. So the first point here is essentially forbidding the use of maketx call on the p entry point. And Vermeda, thank you for implementing this. And what is planned? Well, we're wrapping up the efforts for completing the test for milestone, which is currently at 64%. All right, 65, nice. Who merged this? Who merged something? All right, section 2. Let's see what we have about the Gno.land blockchain. So we dropped the support for all of the unused DB implementations apart from level DB on Bolt DB. Morgan, do you want to hop in and explain this a little bit?
Wasn't this like 2 months ago?
This was merged recently, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, this is this was a month ago, by the way. But anyway, this is simply doing some spring cleaning in our database libraries. Most of these were not working anyway if you tried to use them. So now we have 2 database implementations that you can use, which are Go Level DB and Bolt DB. And the current implementation of Bolt DB is very slow, but it can be used as a reference on how you can sort of plug in other databases into Tendermint 2.
All right, nice. The next thing is we've added the ability to add packages to Genesis transactions. Milos?
This is something we merged this week. So basically, this feature, what it is it's in addition to the Genesis suite that allows you to actually specify a package folder or just like a directory. They want scrape for Genesis transactions. So for example, if you want to pre-deploy the examples folder and all of like the packages and realms that we have within the examples folder, what you can do, and when you generate a Genesis JSON, you can just say, TXS add packages and just give it the folder, and it's going to generate all of the transactions for you and just put them in the Genesis JSON. This was a request by our DevOps Albert, and I think it saved him a lot of time. So yeah, just like a small UX thing that we added.
Nice, awesome. GNODev can now be started with specific transactions to load in. So we can start GNODev with a specific state. And this was worked on by Dylan. Dylan, you're here?
Yeah. So it just says, like, as it says, it allows you to start GNOdev with transactions that get applied every time that GNOdev is restarted or kind of refreshed, just to make it. It makes it convenient for developers if they have certain state that they want when they when they're starting to develop some contract or something.
Nice. So like a Genesis for GNOdev.
Yeah, kind of. And
Nice.
actually, Gno.land has one as well that is doing something similar. I'm not sure if it's merged yet.
Yep. Yeah, there's a PR on it. Yeah. Now the GNOweb. So GNOweb will show actually the mod files. So if you previously went to a, for example, our users demo or our demo users and tried to see the GNO mod file, it wouldn't show on GNOweb, but it was fixed by one of the students. That's great. Small but meaningful PR. And we fixed the air gap transactions. So now, or rather before, when you went to GNOweb and checked out the help page, the air gap transactions were, or rather the air gapped CLI transactions or help for the for executing the commands was outdated. So now it's actually up to date and you can actually use it. All right. And coming up in the next 2 weeks, well, here's the PR that Dylan was just talking about. So it's manipulating transactions within GNOdev. Guillaume, do you have any?
Can I do a demo on it?
Yeah, sure. If you do have a demo, yeah, I'll stop sharing.
I always lost the button to share my screen. Where is it? Can this meeting now?
Yeah,
no.
You can share now.
No. Oh, yeah, no. But I'm looking. I can't find the share button. Share screen with.
The rectangle with an up arrow right next to the happy face.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Sorry.
Guillaume versus technology.
Yeah, every time on the I have to restart the conversation because I don't have the authorization for my browser to share the screen. So
okay, maybe we'll leave it for the end then.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
I will keep it for the end, definitely. Sorry.
Okay, awesome.
I come back.
Okay. All right. We had some fixes to the infrastructure related to the portal loop and staging, some minor ones. And we've had quite a few actually example PRs. So Manfred has been working on an upgrade pattern. Manfred, I don't think is here, but this is an interesting thing you want to look at. We've been improving the PDEM ownable API, also worked on by Manfred. And finally, we've been refactoring the GRC20 package. So if anybody is using it or wants to use it, check it out, and we can see how that's going to go. And obviously, there have been many new proposals for examples from students, for Meta, etc. And that's very, very greatly appreciated. And we hope to get to them as soon as possible. Okay. For the governance and DAO structure, there was continued work on the initial sys validators and GovDAO contracts, and this is work done by Manfred mainly. Oh, and it's been merged. This is the one that I was talking about. This moved the test for milestone up 1 point. Nice. We'll see how this goes, and this is like the initial implementation, and we're definitely going to iterate on it, but yeah, that's great. All right. On the VM and GNO side, we bumped the test coverage from 34 to 67%. This was work done by our magician, our VM magician, Mark, and it's super, super great. We've had some more functionality added to the time standard library by Dylan. We had a small fix to std emit. So some of you might have noticed that the std emit was failing due to a wrong signature, but now it has been fixed and has been cherry picked actually by from a PR that Miloš made. So it's all the credits to him. GNO test no longer supports transpilation. This will be added back later, as far as I know. Morgan?
Just a second. A note on this. So we used to have like the transpile flag, or also the even before that we also had like the build flag. I think maybe on no, sorry, just a transpile flag. Yes, sorry. was getting confused. The idea there being to use the translation feature to essentially do the type checking on the Go code on the transpiled Go code, with the idea like, if you could run a Go build would tell you if there are any static analysis errors. Now, as we've been talking, as we've been saying for a few weeks, this sort of feature has actually sort of changed in the sense that on chain we now have the type checker, which sort of will reject any invalid code as you try to submit it to the chain. But also, when working locally, there's another PR that is adding support for this feature on the Gno.land comment. Together with Manfred, we were discussing, on how should Gno test work, whether it should have this feature, and we will add back like something similar to transpile, but with the type checker. So you can expect to eventually have both Gno.land and the Gno test as both Gno.land and Gno test as checking, as doing the type checking for the code you're writing.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, moving on. The GNOVM debugger now supports adding breakpoints. So this was a fix, I believe. I don't know if Mark is here, if you want to give any short info on this.
Yes, I'm here. So that was an issue which was discovered by Jay, by the way. And before I was always testing super quickly the code, and I tested, of course, that I was able to put some breakpoints into the loop bodies, but I never worried about making several iterations. And that's where, in fact, we need some more people, and super grateful for Jay for discovering that. And he also went further and saw the solution. And that was a simple one. It was a matter of maintaining the white counter in the state. So that was a one-line fix, I think, something like that. And
Nice.
so that's nice. And it's yeah, it's in fact, the debugger infrastructure is quite important, and the more we look at it, and the more we see it important, for example, that will also be the baseline, not only for debugging, but also for improving the coverage in the no test programs. So that will be the feature that will enable us to measure the coverage in no test. So we will have something which will be really on par with the Go tooling, and it will be possible to measure the test coverage with no test, and that will be super awesome. And it shows, in fact, the super high potential for this tooling. In fact, we should be at least as good as Go, and in fact, we are already better. The debugger being embedded in the GNU VM, this is already something better than Go, because it's not separate. It's always there and always available. So and that's a super good thing. So next on that will be some improvements on the debugger, and also profiling and test coverage and things like that. So cool.
Awesome. Okay. We have the assignments, which mixed names and unnamed types are now correctly supported. So I believe this is Maxwell or Ray. Okay, Ray. So this is one of the long-standing PRs, and it's 2 out of 3. So this will hopefully get the VM in a more correct state all the time. I don't know if Ray's here, if you want to fill in people on this.
Yeah, I think this is just a complete this corner case of the inner specs to be able to properly assign named and unnamed variables between the two. So basically, named type are basically are just declare types. So when the assignment happening, it should check the type and make a proper conversion. And so there is a very detailed explanation why we did this, and also there's a related to the what is described in spec.
Okay, nice. Moving on. So now error lines should be correctly marked when printing errors coming from type, constant, and variable declarations. And this is also a VM fix. Nice. Maxwell, do you have anything to say with this?
I think as usual at this time of day, he cannot speak because it's a bit too late for him. But yeah, this is simply sort of fixing the location on the declaration AST nodes. So if there is an error there, the consequence is that the error will correctly report what line it's happening. Well, yeah, we could have had homework with it, but anyway.
Yep, and this was done by Amarcy, so Amarcy, thanks for this. All right, and what is planned for the works for the next 2 weeks? We have more fixes by Peter and Maxwell, as always, our magicians. Some small things that we're trying to fix. So performance for the for loop and ifs, and in this case from Maxwell, we are going to have a solution for correctly capturing loop externs. Yeah, I guess you can read more about this since Maxwell can't speak. I don't know if anybody else has inputs on this. No? Okay.
I don't know if we covered, I mean, I guess we covered it a few times already. This has been long-standing, mostly because we wanted to figure out what was the correct solution for doing this. And this seems to be the one that may be pushed through to the end, as in the efforts.
I can add
this
some
PR essentially. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Please go, Dave.
Yeah, it's Maxwell did work on a solution and wrote a bunch of tests, so it seems to work. But I think it'd be better if we what Maxwell's working on now is refactoring it and trying a different approach, and we'll have a multi-phase preprocessor. So there'll be the first phase of the preprocessor will handle this issue. It'll just mostly focus on transforming the code into a version that allows loop bars. It'll transform it into a different version that declares the variables rather than declaring them in line in the loop code, and then the rest of the preprocessing will happen. So yeah, it's a refactor to make preprocessing more easier to understand.
Nice, thanks for that. All right, and finally, hopefully we're going to merge a long-standing transpiler PR by Morgan, which is going to be the first step in splitting and reorganizing the STD package. So we hope to split it and essentially make it a little bit more convenient for people to use, and make some functionalities go into another package, which, for example, the testing functions. So for example, if you know the std.testset XYZ, maybe we'll move that out to a separate package that'll be used only for testing. And yeah, Morgan, do you have anything to do with this or to say to this?
I think we already discussed it a few times.
Yep. Yeah. It's a long-standing PR, but
yeah, it's thank you, Antonio, for the review. And yeah, hopefully after this one, we'll be able to get started with the SDE changes. But that's about it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to mention
we can actually merge it this week. I'm doing the triage this week, so I think you need like one more review. So yeah, hopefully merging today.
Dylan is also on the case, by the way. So I'll take a look at Antonio's comments, and but yeah, the first one between you and Dylan to do it should unblock the situation.
Awesome. And moving on to the final section about Tendermint 2, it's a very small thing, but it's a very, very important thing. We finally fixed the longstanding VFT issue with CI, so the CI is going to be green now. And this is something that we implemented initially, then we had to revert it, and then we figured out a different way to fix it. So that's great. Awesome. And we're actually done with the agenda. I mean, we went through most of the things very fast. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, but at least what I can say is we can give people their time back. So in this case, 35 minutes.
I have my demo too.
There's a demo, and we can have questions.
Yeah, of course.
So what you want to do first, like question or demo?
Okay. No. Go ahead with the demo. Yeah. Let's do that.
Demo.
Okay.
So entire screen. This one.
Just one question before the demo, Guillaume. Are you going to show the thing you were screenshotting a few days ago, where you?
Yeah. This one on the actual PR.
Oh, this is very cool. I won't spoil it.
Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is about the PR about manipulating TX transaction. So here I run a version of Gno.dev with minimal. I run it in minimal because it can be a bit slow if I run it with all the folder, for example. So I got a really small contract. We just show a pointer to showcase this. I will add some transaction. So the goal here is to be able to. So I had some transaction to be able to go back and forth between transactions. So for example, I press P. I show actually the key I press because it's hard to visualize if I don't. But as you can see, I actually going back into a transaction. I can also go next. So you basically undo or redo what you are doing. You can also like save by pressing Control S the actual state. So then you can like do a bunch of transactions, and then you can press Control R to restore the state you actually save. Oh, not here. So yeah, I go back to where my counter was at 4. I can still go into my previous transaction. So yeah, it's kind of a timeline things, but yeah, it's hard to visualize. I also integrate an export key to actually export the current state of your Gno.dev into a Genesis file. So don't mistake this with like a persistent state, because it's not. It will be pretty useful, like to, for example, if you have like a bug or a problem on a transaction, and you can export to a Genesis file and pass it to someone with the actual commit, so you can replicate the exact same flow you have. So as you can see, like the exported file is really a Genesis file with all the balance and the actual transaction. And of course, you can will edit with this command. So it extends actually what Gno.land does, but with Genesis file. You can even take a real Genesis file to work. And if I reload, sorry, I'm actually at the same state I was before I run Gno. It's kind of a persistence, but no, you cannot use this concretely with a persistent things. And I have another branch, so that's it for the manipulation of transaction. And I have another branch that is made for actually, it's kind of experimental. It's a branch that had widget to Gno.dev, so you will be able to actually visualize what you are doing in Gno.dev. So here I got a fresh Gno.dev without any transaction, and you have like some cool widget you can use. So yes, the previous one was to visualize the current account. So it's a widget that is appearing like at the bottom of the Gno.dev. So you can still use Gno.dev as usual based on the transaction. You can scroll up, it will stay at the bottom. So this is the account widget. I plan to add more if I have time. Like I do this on my spare time, so I don't have a lot of time on it. And a cool one, for example, was for the state management. You can literally like go between transaction. So I had like 100 like for time. We can go between transaction and actually visualize it. So it's pretty handy. You have the path with the command you had, and it's interactive. It's in real time because if I like, oops, oh, why it doesn't work? Yeah, so it should be in real time. I don't know why it's not showing it. Anyway, oh yeah, that's it. So it's technically in real time. So you add your transaction on the flow, and you can navigate between the timeline of your transaction. So I think this will be pretty handy for developer to actually visualize all the transaction. I was in mind like what Redux does with their dev tool and going back. So at the point, I really want like to have literally the state you have inside your terminal, and you can even export this kind of thing into Gno.web. And you can even like have this kind of cool thing, or you can even visualize it your real into your terminal. And same thing, it's real time, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, this is experimental. Like I need to push a branch. You guys can see there is like some bug. Like you can see there is some glitch there. I need to fix first. And if you resize, like it's not like perfect, but
this is amazing.
That at least it works. I think. Yeah, I will fix this like when I got some time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I have a question for you, Guillem.
Yeah.
What is the impact on the GNO VM when you go back to the previous state, or when you change state?
It's huge. I think you guess it. Like I have to reload all the previous state when you go back. Even if I preload like name package and everything, so all the parsing is done, but you have to reload the transaction. So when you go forward, it's okay, but when you go backward, of course, I have to reload the thing. So that's why it's worked well when I do minimal, so minimal flag. So I don't load the wall things, only the contract I need. But of course, if I load the wall example folder, it starts to become really, really huge. Yep, Milosh.
Yeah, two questions. One question is, can you time travel between Genesis transactions? And the second question is, if I can specify a Genesis file, because you mentioned like you can specify custom Genesis files.
Yep.
Does this like theoretically mean that we can fork a running network, just preload everything into Genesis, and have it be like a local development environment, literally from a fork?
Yeah, technically that was the point, right? I didn't try it, but it's totally doable. I think that should be like some problem with maybe the add package things, because if you export, if you take a real Genesis, you will maybe have all the add package things. So you will probably have conflict, but this is totally solvable. Like it should not be a problem. We need to try it with a concrete Genesis. For now, I only play with exported Genesis of Gno.dev. But we can definitely, that's the whole point. Like you take a Genesis from anywhere, you load it into Gno.web, and you debug from there. Go back in time, like you say, from working on this Genesis to actually replay the action that was happening on the chain you were working on or you were having. And yeah, you can actually debug in real time. And probably like if you do a combo with debug things Mark was doing, like you can go back in time, enable the debugger and probably like debug things.
This is becoming too powerful. This tool is becoming way too powerful.
Yes, I think it can be great. Yep, Jeff.
I put in the chat, there's the issue that if the thing that you're debugging uses time.now, I wonder if this transaction replaying preserves time.now, or whether it gets the timestamp of when you replay the block, not when it originally happened.
That's a good question. See, since it's actually replaying the transaction, it's actually replaying the transaction. So it's not like you do a snapshot of the transaction. So if you change your package, you reapply, and you reapply, for example, you increase your counter from 1 to 2, and inside your method, I mean inside your contract, it will reapply, taking into account the change you made into your file. So I think the time will be updated along the transaction. So that might be a problem, and something that that maybe we want in some time, and maybe we don't want sometimes, because you really want to replay with exact time you have. But yeah.
Okay, well, so, all right, thanks.
Yeah, that's it.
So when are we going to do a promo video with like visual effects and everything for Gno.dev?
I need to finish it first. I was really hoping like finish this for Gopherkern and everything to have a demo, but I really want to have something really clean, because I don't want to release this if it's not like all this. I don't want to have all this glitch. I'm pretty sure we can fix it. I still don't think it will be a problem, but it can take some time, because like I said, I'm doing this on the side. So yeah. I think. Oh. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That was a good question. I didn't think about it, honestly, about the time. Thank you.
Okay, nice. Awesome. Do we have any other questions? Yep, Jeff?
I, of course, always have questions. This may be of interest to people in general. Let me share my screen. It's about AVL tree, and shit. Let me move this guy out of the way. So, which has happened. Oh, I want to switch to here. Yeah. So this desocial sort of follows the boards realm. And so we use the AVL tree like that. And in a struct, the AVL tree is declared like this, and it's initialized like this. But there's other uses, like an Oracle, where it's a AVL tree pointer, and it's initialized like this with avl.newtree. I think I understand what Go and Gno are doing, right? This sort of embeds the structure inside this structure, whereas this is just a pointer to it. I see a lot of both different types of uses. So, and in some cases, of course, we're having to switch to the pointer type, especially if we want an AVL tree to be the value of another AVL tree, which maybe is insane, but that's what we're doing. But I wonder if there's any accumulated wisdom on whether there is no best practice, or it's best practice to embed an AVL tree or use a pointer, or or if it's just up to the decision of the developer. What's the thinking on that?
Hey, I think yeah, the tree contains a pointer to the node. So the tree is intended to be used without a pointer. Suppose if you use a pointer, that could work too, but yeah, mostly trees is intended to be used without, so it can be embedded without. On the other hand, all of your methods are pointer methods, like get, set, because
We also have a method where we want to return, we want an AVL tree to be the return value, and there, of course, it needs to be a pointer also.
the return value.
Return value function, like,
Yeah.
you know, find AVL tree, you know, and also, I was just wondering, maybe this is a stupid Go question, which is, I mean, sure, you can initialize an AVL tree like this, but I guess is this the, is it always the case that you want to initialize it so that everything has its default values? Each of the struct members have their default values. Because sometimes an initializer does something else, like it has to allocate another thing inside, and so
Yeah.
is this a degenerate case, or is this kind of in general that you should initialize a struct just by getting its default value?
Yeah, we should call new tree. New tree. Yeah. Okay. I guess for consistency, we should use a pointer to a tree. You don't have to, but it's better. It's just more clear because the methods are all pointer methods anyways. And we should in general use new tree. New tree happens to just return a pointer to a new tree where the only field node is nil. So you could just create a new tree, kind of like a bytes.buffer, right?
Yeah.
But it might change, so I think it'll be better if we use pointers to trees, and we always use new trees in general.
Okay, that's great. That's the kind of pointers I was looking for. No pun intended. Yeah, we'll start migrating over to doing it this way then. Okay, that's it from me. Let me stop. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? If not, then I guess we can wrap it up. It hasn't been 25 minutes of your time, but 18 minutes of your time saved. All right.
Gonna go start a family now. Thanks, guys.
Right. Thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I see ya.
See ya.